President William Ruto really criticized his predecessor, his boss then, Uhuru Kenyatta, about the borrowing he had embarked on and the issues around transparency. In fact, he even promised to make public the SGR contract, which till now is yet to be made public. The issue of transparency, even on the loans that we continue borrowing, the kind of deals the president is making in China, even the scrutiny or oversight by parliament or other authorities on what kind of debt engagements this administration gets into, arises because, yes, the president may be making so many deals. Kenyans may only find out years later what happened. Do you think it's possible to actually have proper scrutiny on what any leader engages in as far as debt is concerned?
Yeah, thank you, Fred, for the opportunity. Allow me first to pass my condolences to the family of the late Dr. Francis Ngaru, who passed on last week, and also condole with our sister, Mumbi Ngaru, who happens to be with us quite often in this particular program. Having said that, it is also important for us to highlight a number of things. One, as Dr. Makali has said, we do not know how much has been borrowed because the figures have been very different. In Parliament is another figure. Treasury, they give their own figure. The Controller of Budget or the Auditor General, they give another figure. This therefore means that whatever we've been borrowing is shrouded in some kind of mystery. And we learn that some of the monies that ought to get into the consolidated fund does not necessarily get there. It has been said out of about 14 borrowings that were done, only one or so managed to get to the consolidated fund. This therefore means that Kenyans may wake up tomorrow to realize that actually they have overborrowed and the money may have ended into individual pockets. This therefore means as we are here, we can only say, let the government be more transparent. I remember the other day the president appointed a team that never took off, that was supposed to scrutinize the level of the debt that we have as a country. And that never took off because perhaps some of the individuals in the system or some of the individuals among us are so powerful that they feel any scrutiny into the issue of the debt will expose them. It is therefore incumbent upon the current administration, rather than continue borrowing, to be able to give us a clear picture on how much have we borrowed, why are we still borrowing, why are we squeezing the private sector out of the capacity to borrow. Because if the private sector does not borrow, the economy is not likely to grow. It is likely to be to shrink, and in the process, we run the risk of this economy not making any sensible sense. The second issue that is also very important for us, and this is something that we need to understand, is that initially there was what we call debt ceiling, that Parliament the other day, or just a few years ago, removed the ceiling and they started pecking on GDP. And you see, when we peg on the GDP, which is also very fragile, because our GDP is dependent upon a number of factors, some of which are beyond us. For example, whenever there is a drought, it affects the agriculture sector, which contributes slightly more than a quarter directly of our GDP. And this therefore means if you are pecking on GDP and the following year there is a drought, that GDP will come down and therefore the borrowing will go beyond the whatever they were saying, 55% of the GDP. It would be important for Parliament to reinstitute what we are calling debt ceiling, so that the government is able to manipulate itself and within the framework of the ceiling. Because that's the only way we can make sure that we rein in some excesses in terms of borrowing. And finally, it is also important that as we borrow, we also get it into productive sector, so that the borrowing is able to transform certain sectors that will engineer growth. Because just borrowing for the sake of grandiose projects that may not give us any immediate benefit is likely to stifle the economy of this country.
Right. Waziri Pugisi, I'll ask you to paint